Hey guys, it's Cameron, my review for A Dog's Way Home. And what A Dog's Way Home is essentially about is we center on this stray dog named Bella. She is someone who was raised by like a bunch of cats, and then these animal control people come in, and eventually she forms this bond with Lucas, this boy who wants to become a veterinarian, and they start to form a bond, but then quickly Bella ends up getting taken away because, pugs apparently aren't allowed in, the city or something, in the town or something like that. So she's then separated away from Lucas, and the rest of the film is her trying to get back to Lucas. And that's literally it. To say the least, I really was not that excited for this film. I thought that it looked very, very forceful in terms of its emotion. It looked very disposable, and to me it just seemed like a discount version of A Dog's Purpose. Now, you guys remember, I didn't love A Dog's Purpose, but I thought it was a decent time. I thought it actually was pretty well casted. I thought Josh Gad did a very good job, and this just seemed like it was trying to catapult off of its success, and it did not really seem like it was working at all. Especially the TV spots very much concerned me, and I have to say, A Dog's Way Home is not as disastrous as I think it could have been, but it is not a good movie. This is very, very typical January schlock that definitely is not worth seeing at all. But we're just getting into right now, starting off with the cast. And look, that is really one of the things that doesn't really help this film. Most of the cast here, they're not really good, but especially its biggest mistake is its miscasting in its voice performance with Bryce Dallas Howard as Bella. I get what they were trying to do here. You know, they used Josh Gad in A Dog's Purpose, and it seemed to work really well. The difference is that Josh Gad, he has a voice where it feels believable that he could be this dog. Bryce Dallas Howard, on the other hand, is really overdoing it here. She is trying to be as cutesy and as dog-like as possible, and it just does not work here. You do not for a second believe that she actually is this dog, and the problem is, her narration overrides the entire film. She's the one that is the driving force of everything in the story, and I just did not buy her in this role. You guys know I'm really not the biggest fan of Bryce Dallas Howard, but this has to be one of my least favorite performances by her. I really could not stand her here. I thought that she was really annoying. I thought she was really overdoing it, and it does not help with the dialogue they're giving her, but she really did not save it, and I was not a fan of her at all. Rest of the cast is fine. No one really does an absolutely outstanding job. Jonah Hauer-King as Lucas, he's not really all that great. He's very wooden in his role. He does have some good interactions with the dog, and I do think he does a good job with that, but overall, I mean, there's not really a lot to him. Judd is kind of wasted here. There's not really a lot for her to do. What she has, she's really good because she's Judd, but she doesn't really have a lot to do. Alexandra Shipp, I thought, was really good here. Edward James Olmos, to me, was the best actor in this entire movie. I thought he was actually really good in this film. I really liked what he ended up doing here. He's not in the film a lot, but for what he has, it's actually pretty effective, and I liked what he did. Studi, I thought, was good. Chris Bauer, on the other hand, though, is so over the top here. He's supposed to be the, like, cliche dog catcher that really has no other reason to go after the dog other than the plot needs him to, and he just really overdoes it, and I was not a fan of him. Again, the cast kind of just ranges from okay to fine, I guess. No one really is that outstanding, aside from, like I said, or James Olmos, I thought was pretty good, but other than that, I really did not really praise anyone when it comes to the acting here. But now we get to a thing that really puts a dampener on this film, which is the directing and the writing. Now, you guys may think from what I'm saying that I hate this film. I do not hate this film. There definitely are some things I do like about it, but the directing is definitely one of the biggest problems here because it's a film that just does not know what it wants to be. Is it trying to be... The film constantly is just... It's waffling between this tone of something that's very lighthearted and fun for the kids, and then something that's trying to be a lot more emotional and deep, and it doesn't know which one it wants to be, and neither one of those tones just feel seamless. None of them feel natural. When the film is trying to be really fun, it's extremely forceful with it, and when the film is trying to be very dramatic, it really is doing whatever it can to tug at your heartstrings, and It's just not a very good balance here. And I think if you had a better director, this film could have actually been pretty good. I think a better director could have, made this film so it blended more naturally, but it just never really came together in terms of the directing. I mean, there definitely were moments where I think the emotion worked, and there definitely were moments where I was chuckling, but overall, it just really did not do much for me. And the writing especially doesn't save it, because that's easily the biggest problem with this film is, look, A Dog's Purpose did not have that much of a story to it. You know, it's basically just a dog and seeing their various relationships throughout the years, but they were able to do enough to get you to care about these people, especially when it comes to Ethan. You cared about that relation because they spent a lot of time there. A Dog's Way Home is not the case at all. Literally all the film is just following the dog going back to Lucas. And the biggest problem is that it forgets to make literally anything else interesting, especially Lucas. I mean, forget about it. He is about as bland as you can possibly get. All we know about Lucas is that he's a veterinarian, he doesn't have a father, and he likes bonding with Bella, and that's kind of it. There's not really a lot more to him. So you understand why Bella wants to get back to Lucas, obviously because they have that connection, but you never really care that much because Lucas is not that interesting of a character. He's honestly pretty boring. I really did not care that much about him or any of the other characters, to be honest. Ashley Judd, I really did not care about all that much. She's just a veteran who is looking after this dog, and that's kind of all they do in the film. Like, these characters are just not very interesting, and I just did not really care about most of them. The only character, once again, that I thought was a little bit interesting was Edward James Olmos, and even at that, they don't even flesh him out all that well. His stuff is very rushed, and I just did not really feel like we got enough with him. But going back to the other characters here again, credit to A Dog's Purpose, they did a much better job of fleshing out these characters, showing you what's going on with them, and in A Dog's Way Home, they forget to do that. They forget to give you anything else that's not just them playing with this dog or enjoying time with this dog. We don't know who any of these characters are, we don't care about these characters, so therefore we don't really care that Bella wants to get back to them, and it just did not really work for me, honestly. I really did not find the screenplay all that interesting, and the dialogue as well is really not too good, especially when it comes to Bryce Dallas Howard's narration. It is so on the nose to the point where you could honestly cut it out of the movie. There were honestly points in this film where I thought, honestly, you could just cut this narration out, and I think the film would be a lot more effective. If there was no narration in this film, and we just kind of saw a dog looking for its owner, I think the film could have actually been a lot more effective. I think the film would have been better because when you have the narration in there, it's telling you things that are completely obvious. And I know it's trying to cater to kids, but it's one of those films where it's treating you like you're dumb. It's treating you like you don't know what's happening, and that just did not really work for me. I felt like the film was like beating me over the head with certain things, and I did not care. And again, I think if they just took the narration out, I probably would have cared a lot more because it wouldn't feel as forceful. It wouldn't feel as, it would not feel as emotionally manipulative as it tends to be. And it just did not really work in that sense. I did not really care about the dog. And it sucks too because the dog in the film is quite adorable. You do like this dog. It's just knowing it's Bryce Dallas Howard really does take you out of it, and it does not work overall. And the quest that the dog is going on isn't terribly interesting either. I understand that the dog, it's able to survive snow and things like that. And there are some scenes where the dog is meeting friends. Like, for example, the dog has this relationship with a cougar for a while, and you're interested in seeing maybe where that's going to go, but everything in the film just feels so rushed. Nothing feels as delved into as it could, and it's because the film montages through a lot of things. It montages through Bella and Lucas's relationship. It montages through Bella and Big Kitten's relationship. It montages through basically everything, so it's very hard to get invested in really anything in this film, and I think, again, that really is due to the writing here, which just did not work for me. The cinematography as well really is not too good. It has the feel and look of a TV movie, and especially when it comes to the CGI. I mean, obviously the dog is real, and you do wonder how they're able to put the dog in these environments, and I do think that's really impressive how the dog was able to do that. But the cougar, on the other hand, is not real, and it looks so fake, so it's very hard to buy into the dog and the cougar's relationship. You don't for a second buy into it, mainly because of the fact that, again, that cougar does not look real. It looks so artificial, and it just does not blend in with everything else, and scenes that you're supposed to feel are intense, and you're supposed to get that emotional impact, you just don't, because they don't feel real enough, and it just does not blend in with what's going on. There are some landscapes that look kind of cool. Like, there's this one sort of I guess segment in like Antarctica or like the Arctic that I thought looked really cool, the way they did that, like the snowy landscape, but it just did not really work for me in terms of like what they were trying to do. But the landscapes overall I actually did think looked pretty good. But just the locations and things like that, it has a feel of a TV movie, and it just did not really work. The score also is very emotionally manipulative, and the covers that they use, I also was not really a fan of. And then the editing to this film, the film's like only 90-something minutes long, and it really was dragging with me. I was bored throughout a lot of this film. It was very hard to get invested into what was going on. And again, it's mainly because of just how flat a lot of the characters and a lot of the writing are. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are saying, oh, the trailer spoiled a lot. And honestly, yeah, it did. It's a valid complaint. If you don't want to see this movie because of the trailer, don't. Because it basically spoiled everything. It spoiled all the good things in the movie. And sure, there are a couple things that maybe they didn't spoil, like the reasoning why the dog is taken, but you just don't really... They basically gave you everything that you needed to know in that trailer, and I think that was definitely a huge mistake, because no one's really going to see the movie now. I mean, I was surprised by how many people did see the movie in my theater. My theater was honestly pretty packed when I saw it, but, you know, in terms of marketing, like, yeah, that is a valid complaint if you don't want to see it because they spoiled so much in the trailer. And even with them spoiling most of what happens in the movie, they actually don't spoil the very ending. And let me just say, that is one of the dumbest things of the entire film. The way things get resolved in this film, the whole conflict with the dog or whatever, is so stupid that you might just end up buying into it. I didn't, though. I thought it was really dumb. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous, and it just made the whole movie feel basically pointless. And I just kind of sat there, like, shaking my head. Guys, A Dog's Way Home is just everything that you expect it to be. It's emotionally manipulative, it's extremely cheesy. It has a huge misfire in casting Bryce Dallas Howard as the voice of this dog, who you just don't buy into for a second. It does have some good performances, and there definitely are some alright moments in there, but for the most part, it's really boring, it's very schlocky, it's extremely forgettable. I don't hate it, but it's just something that was basically just made to copy off the success of A Dog's Purpose. The sequel coming out to A Dog's Purpose actually the trailer played before this film, and I am much more excited for that than I ever was for A Dog's Way Home. Overall, this is basically everything that I expect it to be, and I am going to give A Dog's Way Home overall a C-. But that's really it for my review of A Dog's Way Home. Let me know what you guys thought of this overall, left your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.